What's up, y'all? It's Fabo with City Roots TV, the biggest platform in the world, and I have a special guest here today. Before we get into it, I do want to let you know we got a couple of artists doing a live session later, YGN and Smurf IE. We're going to get into that later. But as of right now, I got one of my favorite people in the world here with me, and that is Fresh Sam. How are you doing?
Man, I feel great. How are you?
I'm doing good. Last time we did this was like 4 years ago, right? And this is something I wanted to touch on for everybody to tune in and kind of get a little lesson from this. The last time we did this was 4 years ago. Sam was already doing her thing. I had just started, and we asked Sam to come down and do an interview with us. And we're like, hopefully she comes, like, because she's busy in LA, big artists. Ashanti, Smino, big names, and she actually did take time to come out there. And our production wasn't as good because we didn't have the money or we didn't know what we were doing. So now to come back 4 years later and see that she's elevated to new levels, as we have too, we want to know about the journey. Because what I want to tap on is a lot of people think this happens overnight. So I want to know how you went on the journey to get to the point of working with people as big as Ashanti.
Yeah, well, congratulations to you and
Appreciate
City
it.
Roots TV
Appreciate
for
it.
elevating the way you have.
Yeah.
It's funny, I was on my way here, I'm like, damn, 4 years ago, life was so different.
Right.
When we interviewed last time, I can't wait to look back at the footage, but I was going through one of the worst times in my life. You would never know by the footage, but yeah. And so to be here right now, 4 years later, at one of the greatest times of my life is really cool, and to see the elevation 360 is amazing. It doesn't happen overnight. I've been hustling since I could remember. Like, I was 10 when I started my first business. But I've been working, I'm like confused now about this.
I like the word to touch base though. I like the word how you use the word hustling. Mm-hmm. She didn't say grinding. She didn't say working. She didn't say trying. She said, I've been hustling. Most people that say hustling, you would think in your mind somebody that's doing something like hustling sneakers or doing something out the back of their car. But even when you're that big, it's still a hustle.
It's a grind, man, every day. For the last 12 years, I started in my parents' basement, and like now I'm able to be here right now doing this.
Right.
And yesterday I was in LA on set. Like, it's amazing, but it did not happen overnight. The 10 years journey is what a lot of people don't see, but it's real. Like 16-hour days for the last 7 years, and then I gave myself a time to breathe and work on my inner self, and now living my best life. Like, I'm really, it's great.
By the way, y'all, you know why we brought the mannequin back is because, let me fix this too, we live on set. Is 4 years ago, this mannequin was there. So it's kind of like a reflective point for me to come back 4 years later and still use the same mannequin.
And 5 years ago, this was designed, it might look odd. One, she's missing an arm, but two, the breasts are roses.
Right.
Because that was a signification for my mom, who was just battling breast cancer at the time.
Facts.
So yeah, it's a great time to be here.
I feel that to my heart too, because my dad passed from cancer, and he's the one that influenced all of this to start. So
shout out to him.
That's where we go with that. But other than that too, I have another question, because people talk about LA and they talk about Denver and they talk about influence and they talk about who's this and who's that. I want a perspective from you, because you've been doing this for a long time. What's the difference between the fashion culture here in Denver and the fashion culture in LA? And are we behind? Are we close? Or what are we doing?
It's a funny question. Well, there is a fashion scene in LA, and has been for probably decades beyond my years of knowing. Unfortunately, there's not a fashion scene here in Denver, and I think it's growing. I'm purposely here right now in Denver to change that, but there's really not a fashion scene, and it's not our fault as creators or fashion designers. It's the fault of lack of funding, lack of production. We don't have. I was just in a sew house in LA a couple days ago. We don't have that here in Denver, and if we do, it's at ridiculous rates. So there's not a fashion scene here, but I would love to see it. And I just got hired, shout out to the city of Denver, by the city of Denver to help them cultivate and push forward their fashion program.
Wow, I love to hear
So
that.
I'm trying to be the change I want to see.
I've seen the growth happening.
Yeah.
Cool. So the first thing I want to get back into is these Air Forces where people were designing them. I didn't know about it. People call me an old head because now I'm 30, about to be 32, but there's a thing where people get blank Air Forces and they put their designs on them and all this stuff. And that's when I caught a hold of Sam's second brand, Infatu. So before you tell me about Infatu, I want to let you know these shoes were so dope because what's crazy about Sam is she hand painted every single one of them, and I couldn't find a flaw in one shoe from the other shoe, right? As if like a printer did it. So I want to get touch base on that, on the focus level of it, but also what inspired you to design those Air Forces. That was a dope movement. That's what I tapped in with.
Still pushing forward with them. So it said create or die in the pattern. I made this pattern right when COVID happened. Like I told you when I last was on this interview, I was going through a really hard time, a lot of things happening, and what was consistent was me creating. And I made this like slogan, honestly, just to get by, like for my personal self. Affirmations have been a big tool in my life. So create or die was like real. And people started requesting it. Like I made this print just one day, like design, like just, it's actually right here, but like just painted on my clothes. And then people were requesting it, and I was like, this is interesting. Maybe like this could be something. And then as I, made more things, I made a whole cut and sew line around it, made balaclavas, made shoes, and your bro ordered a pair, huh?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, my bro. That's why I caught on. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, I remember painting those.
My other thing is with that's super dope in regards to like the inspiration, but also I saw the print going everywhere, and I'm like, how can you keep such a steady hand to like when you're coloring on a paint book and you don't want to go outside the lines? And I'm like, yo, you're literally painting to a T, but freehanding it,
Is why
It's like you can't, I can curse on my podcast. You can't fuck up. Literally, it's like, but she doesn't because it's literally just every stroke is just perfect and nothing's dripping. And it's just like, what focus level does that take?
The same that you just called a time, like a cut, because we needed to turn the sound off. I strive for perfection. I strive for perfection every time and everything I do. So yeah, like the print actually, people thought that was printed, but I actually hand paint every one. Yeah.
That's super.
It matters to me. Quality is over everything.
So my other question for you is like energy, right? I'm like a big energy person, right? I feel like everybody in here is the same way. Like if my energy is good and you're trying to come around, put out bad energy or rub that off on me, I try to protect my energy. So we're about to go into a deeper conversation about that. So when you approach your creative process, say you're on set like this, what number one is your creative attack to whatever project you're doing? What is your creative mindset? And how important is energy on set when you're doing your projects or any kind of project? How does your energy and mind state come into the end result of what you're trying to create?
It's crazy. I don't even know if you know, but I'm
Talk
about to launch a company, and it's directly related around what you just asked me.
I like to hear that.
I've been working on sets for the last 7 years, and every type of set, from Netflix set to music video sets to, commercials, and I've had to work with all types of people, right? And I see the outcome, and I kind of dissected, well, what's lacking, what's not. And I actually am launching it's called Creative Agency. I'll spell it to you later. But the Creative Agency is literally created because I've acquired a formula for the best production you could ever have. And it takes good energy, good vibes, people that know what they're doing, professionals. And so I see when sets have amazing directors that are really nice to their team, and I see the byproduct of it. So yeah, it's everything. Energy is everything on the set. If you're mean, or I've worked on sets with certain directors for commercials, and they don't respect people at a PA level, but that trickles down to the whole team, and the end product is not good because you can feel that and you can see that. Right. So my creative agency is going to do exactly the opposite. We're going to curate the vibe, and that's what I do on sets. I curate the vibe. I make sure the atmosphere is amazing. Like everything I can control, outside of everything I control. So like the music, the way people feel, uplifting, like down to the scent, you know, we definitely saging that up. But yeah, 100%. So it matters completely, like so much. It's everything.
That's what I like about that. I touch base on energy. That's why we bring everybody here, because everybody here has good energy. Everybody has the same end goal and everything like that, you know?
Hell yeah.
Another thing is, what would you say, right? I like to talk about real things, so we touch base on energy, right? And then the other side is going to be fear,
okay,
right? And we want to talk about what's on the other side of fear. Some people are fearless and they don't have creative ideas, but they're not afraid to start. Other people have creative ideas and they are afraid to start. So how did you, when you first knew like, whoa, this is real for me and I could capitalize on it, but I'm fearful of it, and you obviously ended up on the other side of fear. So that's what I want to touch base on is fear and what's on the other side of it when you...
Yeah, fear is similar to failure. And I'm just going to say it, like I said, I was speaking at a class in CU a couple weeks ago. This kid asked me how I like achieve things without being afraid of failure. Failure is not real. Like to me, I heard somebody say they're from Thornton, Colorado. That's where I'm from. And like I got in trouble so much growing up as a kid. Like my brother was a drug addict and I had to learn what like losing a brother was like. So failure, like that's not shit, you know? Being before a judge, like as a 17-year-old, disappointing my mom in the back of the room, that shit hurt me. Failing like a business or losing money or like fucking up a project, that doesn't scare me because I know like it's replaceable. I can come back from that. But what I can't come back from is like failing life. So fear is, one of my best friends puts it, fear is an illusion appearing real, and that's real. Like fear is not real. It's only a constraint of our imagination. So I don't live in fear. I really try to operate out of love and not even look at fear. It's not a part of my life.
Facts. So with that, we're going on a journey. We're going to wrap this up pretty soon here, but it's crazy that you said that because you said the word of the next topic that I was going to. The 3 things I wanted to touch base on tonight was energy, fear, and then you said you're operating out of love, right? So that's the subject that we're going to tap on. What type of love does it take for your craft for you to continue winning? Because some people give up.
That's a good question.
And love is unconditional. So if you love your craft, what is the creative approach to that? And what do you mean by you say you're operating off of love, right?
Yeah, well, to address the first question, the real honest truth is chasing your dreams isn't easy. Being passionate about something isn't easy, and like going after your dreams is not easy. And so it takes the most like massive amount of love for your craft or your goal, whatever that may be. And so like unconditional love is a good example or a good answer because that's the only thing I can compare it to. Like I will never give up on Infatu. I will never give up on my business. And that is true unconditional love. So unconditional love. And then second, what was the question?
When you're operating off of love.
What does that mean?
What does that mean?
Everything I do, I try to be a reflection of God's love. I try to be a reflection of what love means to me. And that's just like the greatest light. Like love is what makes this world go around, you know? And there's a lot of lack of it right now. So I just try to be what I want to see in the world. So for me with my brand, that means putting, thought-provoking quotes on my clothing that may provoke someone to think what you just asked me. It is in all types of ways. It's like showing up for my team and pushing others to do what they love. It's, I just flew in last night, was having a conversation with my nephew today about like being able to achieve your dreams. He's 9, like love looks all differently, and it just depends on the scenario and how I express it is different.
I love that.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 things we want to touch on: energy, fear, and love, right? Because they all kind of go hand in hand. So we in deep conversations. I got 2 more questions for you, and then we're gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
But the questions also have to do with some of my members that are here that are big artists, big dreams, a lot of big things about to happen for them. You went on tour with a specific group. Farside. So I want to touch base on touring is tight, right? Get it, it's fun.
It's a lot of work.
And that.
It's cool, but
that's
it's a lot
what I
of
wanted to touch
work.
base on for the last part. I got a lot of artists that want to be musicians, they want to be big, they want to do this, but I want to touch base on the work side of it and what touring really looks like besides the money,
what we see on social media,
and the shit we see
the
on
classy
social media.
photos. Oh my god.
Touch base on the good side of it,
Yeah.
but also let us know about the reality of.
Well, the experience was incredible. Like to be able to go to 31 states or cities in a 2.5 month span. That's incredible. It was incredible to see things. I think when we travel, we miss a lot of the culture. We have plans, so we don't get to see like the lifestyle of each individual city. That was really cool to see. The tough part. so we would get to a city and I would have like an hour and I would decide every day, like, do I want to eat like whatever I chose? Because once you get on stage or like once you get to the venue, you get to choose around either what's around. So I would always have to choose like, what do I want to eat, or if I want to eat, get ready or sleep, because it was exhausting. Like I didn't sleep. You would get up at like 6 a.m., get it, go drive. We drove since we were in America. So we drove and we would get to a new city probably like around 4 p.m., sound checks at 5 p.m. Like I said, I had that 1 hour I would have to decide, and it was always different when I would decide. But yeah, then we get to the sound check and I would see these guys, like I thought I had endurance. I thought my work ethic was high, and it is, but seeing these guys, these legends who've been doing this for 30 years, like do what I just did, but then go and perform and like talk to thousands of people every night. Like it was, I don't know how they did it, but obviously like passion.
Right.
Yeah, it was incredible to see and experience, but it was a lot of work. And I was just in LA. The tour manager was telling me they're going to Europe in March, and I'm like, I might be coming out of retirement, because it was a lot of work. And I told him like, I'm good. I don't want to do that again, but I think I might be down again.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I wanted to touch base on. We all want to be artists. We all got dreams. We got aspirations. But remember, when you get to the top is lonely, right?
It's not lonely if
well,
you
not
bring
like
your
that,
people
but I'm
with
saying,
you.
what I'm saying is, are you ready to be in 31 cities in a year span?
And like talk to that many people. Like
Talk
it's
to that
draining.
many people.
But it's really impactful. It was really cool to see how these guys had changed so many people's lives. Like they would tell them the stories. It's cool.
But I think everybody in this room is ready for that, and that's the next goal.
Yeah, let's get it.
Let's get ready for tour. Yeah. To finalize it, before we get into this photo shoot and this live session, I got Brennan here. He shot YG last night. He's cold. He's a cold killer camera guy, man. But my last question to you is a good one. It's a soft one. It's high energy. So you're writing a book, right? Right now, everybody's life is a book. You got chapters. You got the introduction. You got the villain. You got the hero. You got all these things that happen in your life, right? End chapter, where does Sam end up? As far as when it's all said and done and the book is closed, visually. So are we in the Bahamas on jet skis with dolphins flying around us, just reflecting on being the GOAT? Are we still trying to go to New York? And what I say is I don't see you slowing down anytime soon, because you literally just got back from LA like 6 hours ago. But where does Sam end up when it's time to reflect on the closing chapter?
I look at death as the closing chapter. So I don't know where that
Create
would
or
be,
die.
but
See, there
yeah,
we go.
create or die. I don't have an end goal. Like it's just progress. I'm not just a fashion designer. I'm a lot of things, and I can't wait till I have the time to do all the things I want to do creatively. I want to design furniture. I want to interior design. I have so many aspirations and goals that I don't see myself ever retiring. I love what I do so much. I want to have more choices and options as far as like where I do that. So yeah, you mentioned the Bahamas. Yeah, I would love to be on an island, maybe Hawaii, I don't know. But have a creative studio out there, be able to travel wherever I want anytime. And like one day I hope that I can just not settle down, but I hope that I can give time to, like, I'm a 31, I know it's crazy to believe, but it's crazy for me to believe, but like I spent my whole 20s like following my dream and focused on my goal, which required me to like disassociate with dating and like the idea of having kids. And not to say that's for everyone, but for me it took my all. So I would love to see myself like care about love in the future. I would love to see myself care about like having a home and being in a place for more than like a year. Because right now that's not been the case for a long time. So just maybe a little more simplicity and consistency and doing whatever I want always. That's the goal.
Love to hear it. And then we're going to wrap it up. But just to end, I just want to say that sounds like Tom Brady and LeBron James. When somebody's in the zone like that and you ask them when they're going to stop, the answer she gave me was, I just don't want to run out of things to do. Right? It never stops. Only time it stops is when you run out of things to do. And then it stops.
Or you die.
But to wrap it up, where can we find Fresh Sam's Instagram? Where can we find Infatu? Before we get into this photo shoot, because I got Brendan over here about to go crazy, but where can I go? Because I want to buy something. Right when we cut these cameras off, where can I go to buy something?
Infatu, INFATUE, clothing.com. These pants will be for sale soon. And you could check me out at lilfreshsam.com, LIL-FreshSam.
Love to hear it, man. You're tuned into City Roots TV.
Appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Let's ride. We about to get into this photo shoot. Let's do it. Cut that. That's right. Love to see it. Love to see it. Great conversation. High level conversation. Love to